Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, we've switched things up a little bit. You might have noticed that Free Gift Friday has now become Free Gift Friday Takeover. You've had quite a few of our outstanding members jump in and take over the feed and just share their gifts and talents and their goodness with you over the last couple of weeks. And today is no exception. We have with us Lori Raggio. Lori is, I'm just going to let you know, a very dear friend of mine, close to my heart. Like, if I had to pick my top 10 people to go into the bunker with, I'd be picking up the phone and calling Lori. And you should too. So I am really excited for Lori to share with you today. We're going to be talking a little bit about, growing our business, because when do we ever not talk about growing our businesses? But we're also going to be talking about how we grow our personal development, how we grow our own leadership, things like that, things that are so important. And then Lori has some amazing news to share with us because she has something new that just dropped on newsstands everywhere. So I don't want to take away her thunder. Lori, welcome. I also have in the Zoom room with us, new friend to this show, Sophia Robinson, and I'm looking forward to us learning a little bit more about her, learning a little bit more about her show as well. And remember, you're always welcome to join us here in the Zoom room because that gives you an opportunity to share about yourself and your business. So, Lori, welcome. Tell us all the things we need to know. Who on earth are you? And what are the amazing things you're doing in the world?
Davia, thank you. It's so great to be here, especially on a Friday with all your energy. And when Davia says that she and I would go and hang out in the bunker, for her, it would have to be where there was water. So an ocean. And for me, it would have to be where there's some desert. So maybe like Aruba or something like that. Cabo seems to have both. Yeah, but yes, I'm a transformational and leadership life coach, and I predominantly work with women who are trying to up level their lives and who are kind of like standing on a threshold is kind of how I like to say it. And if they could just get some support to take a big leap over that threshold, they would be able to create this amazing life that they desire and they deserve. I've known Davia for probably about, oh my gosh, 3 years, 4 years now. And just love LPL. And for any of you who are thinking about doing this Friday takeover, it is fun. I mean, I had like so many ideas of things I wanted to post and try to get people engaged. And I had to just kind of stop myself and pull my expansion magic back a little bit and say, no, here's the 4 things that I want to post that I want us to kind of take a look at today and kind of get people's thoughts about.
Awesome. So I've been checking out your posts that you've been sharing today, and they've been particularly interesting. I love the card that you shared about. My message that I took from it was about receiving. Tell us a little bit about what message you were getting from that card that you pulled.
Yeah, it was fascinating because that particular card deck I've been using quite a bit. And the more I'm getting familiar with it, the more I'm really feeling like it is telling some critical messages to me and to others. And the card was called Exchanging Gifts. And so what better of a card to pull for us for today? I mean, thinking about, Friday takeover, it's exchanging our gifts. It's sharing our talents and our passions and our interests. And really in the book that goes along with the card, it talks about everything is an exchange. Every conversation is an exchange. And so it's really that being able to give and receive in that conversation that really kind of lights us up And as I was thinking about it, it's so appropriate for our LPL community, because I think that's what you've built, Davia. You've built this community where people are more than happy to share their gifts, their talents, their time, their energy. And so I was like so excited when I pulled that card, because I feel like it's so appropriate to what we all do here.
I love that give and take is
Yeah.
so important. And that's really what I talk about all the time when, guys, I'm going to say the
Mhm.
word, everybody grab your drinks. That's what happens
Collaborate.
when we have a collaboration. Even a
Yeah.
conversation is a collaboration. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful exchange of ideas. So take a sip, guys. She said it, collaboration.
Well, and the idea too that we talk about, it's a safe place. It's not a competitive feeling in this community. It's, everyone is bringing things that are unique, about them to hopefully support and impact others' businesses. So yeah, I thought that was cool. So if you haven't commented yet on that post with the card, please feel free to do that. I'd love to see, how people are resonating with it.
Beautiful. So, Lori, you were one of our presenters and you were our virtual coordinator for our last Ladies Power Lunch Summit. And you shared a lot with us about leadership. Can you tell us,
Mhm.
what comes to mind for you when you think of us as entrepreneurs, as women in business, as women in small business, as women in leadership roles, as women in corporate? What is coming to mind for
Mm,
you when you think about this new paradigm of leadership that
yeah.
we are encouraging, where we all link arms together and support each other, as opposed to that top-down leadership where somebody at the top tells us what to do and hopefully it trickles down to the bottom.
Right. Well, and there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is related to the first post that I put out there this morning. And that is, who really is the leader of 2023? Like, what does the world need from all of us now? And I think it's something different. I think it's, and what I put was that, leadership, I think, is inspired by source. To me, source is spirit. It's that energy kind of from outside and from inside of us. But then our leadership is driven by compassion. And I think that has a lot to do with, receiving and giving our gifts. It is the collaboration. And then we have to execute, obviously, to get things done, but it's done in a different way. It's not that, go, 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 only focus on task. It's that true balance of the task and the relationships. And what I like to say is it's intuitively intentional in how we execute on what we need to do in our businesses. So I do think that, individuals, organizations are really looking at a different kind of leadership from us. And I think it starts with us knowing really deeply about ourselves. And one of the other things that I'm hoping that we'll kind of get into in this conversation is our why or our purpose. That really kind of is the foundation to know all about us. And then how do we bring our leadership forward to support and impact, really the world.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's dive right in. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the why and why that's important for stepping into the leadership roles that are waiting for us, because everybody knows, who knows me well, knows that I truly believe that we're here with purpose. That, like our dear friend Marianne, who's watching along with us over in Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group, loves to say, your mess is your message. The things that you go through put you in a better position to serve the people that you're here to serve. Problem is, there are a bunch of people who are losing sleep at night because they need the thing that you have to offer. And if you're
Right.
not putting yourself in that leadership role, then those folks, they're going to be missing out. So tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
how you're connecting that why with the leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in my coaching, I spent a lot of time helping my clients to understand their why. And I was using kind of a longer process. We were getting to the right place, but it was taking some time. And I would say a few months ago, I was introduced to an organization that's called the Why Institute. And the Why Institute has created these tools. They're not really assessments, but they're online tools that in about 5 to 10 minutes help us to really understand what our why is. So that's really what are we motivated by, kind of what helps us to get up every day. And then our how, which is how we show up in the world, focused on our why, focused on our purpose. And then our what. And our what is, what are we delivering? And in 5 to 10 minutes, this picture that I got for myself was like amazing. It like made all sense. And I've done a ton of work in this area. And I was just so impressed with the accuracy. And so here's a little bit about me. So my why is called Better Way. And through all of their research, there are 9 whys. And Better Way is, I'm always looking for how to innovate something, how to make it better, how to create a different process or a different system. And what I found out specifically about myself is that it's not from scratch for me. So I do not do as well if someone says to me, here's a blank slate, go to it. The first thing I do, and it's tied into my how, is that I'll do research and I'll get data and I'll get samples and I'll get all these kinds of things. And so my Better Way is taking what exists and creating from there. So it's not a blank slate for me. But in my mind, and as I support other people, as they're talking, I can see their better way. I can see all of these different opportunities for them. And how I bring that about then is through creating safe space to create these very quickly trusting long-term relationships. And so what I deliver is that long-term trusting relationship, and then bring the solutions with that. And so as I learned all about that, so my why is Better Way, my how is called Mastery. It's kind of the lifelong learning, going through doing the research and the data and things like that. And then my what is Trust. And so just being able to learn that, it really made a lot of sense to me. And so I wanted to share that, with everyone. And one of the things I'll actually be posting in a couple of hours is an introductory offering for anyone from our community to have access to that y.os tool, and then an hour with me to debrief it, and then to say, okay, so what are we going to do with this information? How can you use it? And Davia, one of the things that, I've been talking about with people is, here's some uses as an entrepreneur. One is self-discovery first. I mean, that's kind of your foundational. 2 then is, can you use it in your branding? Are there words in your y.os, and you get this full report that you can use? Because if we're tying in to our why and our how and our what, it's going to bring the right energy to then connect with the right people. So are we using those words when we're introducing ourselves? Are we using those words in our bios? One of the things I did as an example is, we've got the brand new book anthology coming out next week called Unmuted Voices. And what I did in my chapter is I actually, for the first time, put out, here's my why, my how, and my what. And I tied it to how I, over the years, have allowed myself to be unmuted. And so it's tying it to all these different things. It's tying it to understanding others. It's tying it to how we spend our time, our energy, and our effort in our business. Because if it's not aligned with our why, then we probably shouldn't be spending a whole lot of time there. And so it's just kind of some really interesting, and because of my how I've done all kinds of research, I've done all kinds of certifications, I've done, all the lifelong learning things. But for whatever reason, this really captured it for me. And I've seen some tremendous changes in my clients as they're, tapping into this particular tool. So I wanted, to be able to share it with everybody. And 2 people are going to get it free. So however we want to choose those 2 people to be we can do that.
Well, I just want to say one of the things that I remind people is that you want to join in live, because when we do have the giveaways, then you get an opportunity to be in it, to win it. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's joined us over in our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. And I've been taking note of who's there. So as soon as we get to that point in the show, we're going to let you know who our lucky winner is today. So I have a few more questions though before we
Yes.
dive in, because I'm feeling a little bit jealous. I wish I could enter and also win this amazing prize. It sounds wonderful. I want to know. So you're looking at this idea of leadership from a whole new angle. And
Mhm.
so, as you have been exploring this new tool, what are some of the
Mhm.
do's and don'ts that have been showing up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think as any tool or any assessment, when you read your results, there's things that are going to make sense for you, and there's things that you're going to just say, that's just not me. So I think anytime we look at some new information, we need to look at it with, very open eyes, ears, and just kind of take some time to take it all in versus to initially say, oh, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. Just kind of to soak it all up and then kind of decide, which pieces do you want to take that you think that will be supportive for you personally and professionally. The other thing is then to look at, are there these like key words that are just jumping out at you on the results? Because if they are, it's because something is really resonating with you. And then look at how can you tie that back to the impact that you want to make in your business. Again, the more that we're aligned with our purpose or our why, the more successful we're going to be.
I
So
love
those are some
this.
initial things.
I love this. As you were talking about your why and the way that you go about doing things, it became very obvious to me why we became friends so easily and so quickly. Because of course, I have that engineer mind. I'm always looking to see how can I take
Mhm.
this complex problem and give it a really simple solution. That's like always my goal. And then when I did Strengths Finder, because guys, always doing
Mhm.
all the tools, everyone. If
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
tool out there,
yeah,
I've probably done it. When I
yeah,
did Strengths Finder, my number one strength is love of learning. So of course, I'm doing all the courses and learning all the
yeah,
things and
yeah, yeah,
constantly just taking
yeah.
in a whole bunch of information. But what happens is when faced with the complex problem, because I have all of these resources that I've already plugged into, the
Yes.
solution becomes very, very clear, very, very
Yeah.
easily for me. So
Yeah.
I see how having that tool and knowing how you function, because it's not that there's one that's better than the other,
Oh,
but if
absolutely not. Right. Yeah.
agree with me on this, hear me tell you to agree with me on this. If you are working with somebody else's blueprint, your level of
Mhm.
success at what you do is not going
Mm.
to be as great as it could be if you were shining in your own brilliance. Somebody write that down
Absolutely.
and put it on a
Yeah, I
t-shirt. I feel
know.
like I just
That's
said
another a new
something that was
quote. That's a new
profound.
quote. Yeah, absolutely. And so to be as authentic as you possibly can in how you show up in the world to impact others, that's going to give the right energy to attract the right ideal people. And I just want to share something really quick too. There's a new nonprofit board that I'm a part of this year, and there's 9 of us, and we had everyone take this tool, and so we then used it in our very first retreat, and it was amazing because 7 out of the 9 of us have the same why of better way. 5 out of the 9 of us have the same what of trust. And so we talked about how that was showing up in our conversations and what do we need to do going forward to be successful. If you get 7 out of 9 people in a room who are constantly looking to innovate and make things better, what do you think is going to happen with execution? Unless we give ourselves some time, like we're going to brainstorm, we're going to do our better way for X amount of time, and then have to make a decision and move on with that before we then try to change it again, we will get absolutely nothing done as a group. And so it was just fascinating to have this information from a team or a group perspective as well. And it's going to be something that we're going to be bringing up all the time to really help us to remain as a supportive board, headed in the right direction. Yeah, fascinating.
Before we go, because time flies fast when you're having fun, are there any tips that you'd like to leave with us? Things that if we remember nothing else from this conversation, we remember this one thing.
Yeah, I think, whether it's this particular tool or any other tool, I think as entrepreneurs and as leaders, we have to know our why and our core purpose. And so doing work to make sure we're very clear about that, I think is critical. The other thing is, just wanting people to know that I will post this afternoon a little bit about why and why our core purpose is important. I'll post about this particular offer, and then what's available to everybody that I'll also post is my chapter in Unmuted Voices. I'll post that, and in that has some information about the why, the how, and the what.
And your new book, Unmuted Voices, that drops next week. Am I right?
It does. And there's actually 2 different workshops that we're holding. The authors are, designing and facilitating these workshops, and they're called Being Unmuted in 2023. And so those will be coming out in February.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
As we're moving into this new year, what value is there to taking stock now of our why, our purpose? How does this tie into all the planning that's going into this new year?
Well, think about it. I mean, as entrepreneurs and leaders, we have a certain amount of time. We have finite amount of time. If we're making sure that we're designing and we're planning in alignment with our purpose, our why, that's going to make a whole huge difference in what we create, what we deliver. And then it will definitely meet the needs of the people that we most work with. So I think it's foundational, really. And it's only January 13th. So doing it now,
There's
gives
still
us the rest of
time.
the year, right?
There's still time.
Yeah.
I want to bring in our new friend, Sophia. Sophia, did I get your name correctly? Great.
You sure did.
Awesome. Sophia, we love when our Ladies Power Lunch members join us here in the Zoom room because it gives us a better perspective as to the kind of entrepreneur who our special guest can relate to. So can you share with us a little bit, Sophia, about who you are and the wonderful work that you are doing in the world?
Sure. So, Sophia, as you said, and I, first and foremostly, I always call myself a story listener because I like listening to stories, but I'm also a writer, editor, and writing coach. So, yeah, I also have a podcast. So I do a few things. And yeah, I really like to help people to get their voices out into the world. I think we have a lot of fear sometimes around that. So yeah, that's what I do.
Beautiful. Well, I am really happy that you're able to join us today. Anything
Yeah.
that Lori said that just particularly jumped out for you?
I really like the sound of the I guess it's a framework or some sort of you were talking about the why and kind of like having a real sort of structure for it. Because I think sometimes when you ask people what's their why, it's almost like mind blowing, like you almost either don't know what it is or you're afraid almost of the size of it, if that makes sense. Like I always think back to there are times when there was stuff that I felt like I wanted to do and I felt like it was even too big to like get my arms around it, right? So just this idea of like breaking it down into something that you can kind of really see and express. I really like that because I think sometimes it stops people from further because they're almost afraid of the why or afraid of kind of like digging that deep or kind of, like getting it wrong and all of that. So I really like the idea of having a good and then your offer sounds awesome. I was just like I was saying to I was like, yeah, I like to win that too. It sounds so great. Like being able to unpack that then with someone like you, because I think sometimes having, like I said, I'm an editor, so I get that whole thing about having another pair of eyes sometimes on your, an outsider. Sometimes that can be really helpful. So it just sounds really great. I would definitely love to hear. Look forward to hearing more about how that goes.
Beautiful. Well, Lori, it's time for you to choose
Okay.
who our winners are going to be. So can you choose for me a number between 1 and 20?
Sure. 8.
And our winner is Naomi Rafalowitz, who's joining us over in the Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. Congratulations, Naomi.
Congrats.
Yay. Did you say you were offering 2 of
Yes.
these? Okay, so you got to give me another number.
2.
Okay, and the second winner is, wouldn't you just know it, Sophia?
Sophia.
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Really? Because you were the second person to join us here on the
Yeah, I guess
Zoom.
so.
So
Oh,
congratulations, Sophia. Congratulations, Naomi. You guys are our Free Gift Friday winners. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Sophia, thanks for joining us in the Zoom room.
yes,
Thanks
thank
to
you.
everybody who joined us over in the Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. We love you guys so much. Thank you, Lori, for being our Free Gift Friday takeover person today. We really we're enjoying having conversation with you in the Facebook group, and we're looking forward to the other posts that you have coming up. Congratulations on your book launch next week. You know we're going to be in the group cheering for you and downloading your book and leaving you 5-star reviews. So we all support each other as we bring our stories to the world. Thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you guys on the next show. Bye.